Okay, great.
So I'll record it, and then I'll make sure you have access to the recording.
That's really nice.
Okay, Jonathan, it's all yours.
It's my turn. Hi. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to start first with Production Coach. First aspect that we're going to do with the system for startup is we're going to import a project. So one of the biggest strengths that we have with the software is being able to import data that already exists from your existing CAD/CAM software. So once we import the data inside, we have the work order names, we have the products information, and we can also have what we call detached or loose items already split down in the bottom of the field. So you don't have no library to build, you don't have no data to create inside of it. We pull out the data and we manipulate it inside of the system. This is one thing that makes it work and integrate fast towards that.
Okay.
So once the data is inside the system and we want to work with it, one great thing that can be done also is that we can have documentation on the project. So if I open right here my elements, I can see right here PDF and documentation that can be built in directly inside the system. So you don't have to recreate the data, and you don't have to print out paper sheet or information. Everything can be inside the system with this. Once the data is inside, we can go inside of what we call our planning information. So inside of that planning information, what it's going to do is pull out the job automatically for you, and it's all color-coded. So we can follow inside of the planning. So I'm looking right now at my delivery planning. So we use tool that normally a person in the shop knows about it and know how to use it. So it's pretty easy to drag and drop tool that we can just go in and move our project the way we want. And like we said, it was color-coded to follow where the steps are inside of the shot, so we can see at what element am I with my progress of that work order or my project that I have right here.
Okay.
We can also go at a deeper level. So if I go my progress right here and select my cut station, so I can go inside of that and see all my cutting that has to be done. So I can see them if it's been done or not by the green or red color right here. That lets me know if that task has been done to that station or not for that work order. And I can measure myself with, here we have 3 level of measurement that we have added inside of that. So if I select, let's say, a week like this, I can say, okay, I want to do where I can see a number of sheets, the number of sheets that I need to do with this week with a minimum and maximum, number of parts that can be generated with it, and a money value. So with these 3 indicators, you can see directly if you're good or not good towards your weeks or your days that you're doing, and have it and balancing your management scenes production that you can do towards that. So once your planning is done, so that planning tool, we're going to go back inside of the production coach element. So once we're inside of or back in our production coach, one other important thing that we can do with our software is what we're going to call tracking. Okay, so to track your project and your part, where is it and at what station there is. There's different ways that we can do tracking, and I'm going to explain these ways towards it. So we can track manually our information just by taking a product and changing its status, so you can go in and say, hey, actually this has been cut directly inside of that project, so you can do it manually. But we can also do it as, let's say you're coming up from the nesting. So just to put you in a situation element, we have here a 3D drawing of a shop, or it's not a real shop, but it's just explaining. And what I want to show you to put you a little bit in the aspect is I'm going to take here, let's say, the guy at the CNC. So one thing that we can do to track information is to know when a sheet is completed, or even when I started a project or finishing a project. So with a station right here, we can print out, what we're going to call a print to scan sheet. It looks a little bit like this, where the operator can scan when he starts, scan when he finished, so we know that all the parts are being cut to that machine, and the status changed, like you can see right here, to the station that you're here. Okay. Another way that we can do also tracking is, let's say we take the example from a saw like this that has a feedback information. Well, each time that a sheet is completed, that machine can speak to production coach and say, hey, we have completed that machine directly over there that has been completed. Another way that we can do tracking is by using also part labels, RFID information. So if we have or labels with RFID. So if we have RFID information with it, we can have the tracking and see the following of that project where it is. So what tracking is going to give us with these information that we get through. So we know at what status is being completed, and we can have a work order progress to know exactly, okay, at what station has been complete that work order, what is left to be done at that station, what is missing to complete, let's say, that station with these information. So we can see what product is missing and at what station there are actually to be able to complete these work orders in our list. Make sense from now?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. From all these information that we track, we can also generate our dashboard information. So I'm just going to click on this and reopen here. This is our intelligent dashboard that gives us direct result on what's happening actually inside of the shop depending on the status that we changed. So we can measure ourselves by using the product level, jobs, or part level information if we want towards that. So what it's going to show me right here, it's the number of product being done. In my case, I selected product, so I can see the number of product being done for each station that has been scanned in real time in my workday today. What these information is going to give me is the information below here. This is my roadmap bottleneck that we want to check in. So what we want to follow from this information is the number of products that are pending between the stations. So I can see in real time where I'm starting to have bottlenecks by putting myself with minimum and maximum products that I want to have in between stations. So like if I take this example right here, in between my kitting station, my assembly station, I have for me 22 product pending to going to my assembly. In my parameters, this is too much for me, so I'm starting to have a bottleneck creating at that element right here. So I need to take action. So what we're trying to do with this is really to balancing your production and not always having some peaks and lows, but really being able to have a running flow production with these measurements that you can see directly inside of that. You can also measure yourself by workstation. So we can have a performance by workstation and know, okay, I have a goal to achieve. You can have your goal towards in parts, product, sheet if you want, and for each different station. So in our case, we placed everything again with product to see the same measurement everywhere. So we have our goal of 80 products to achieve. Actually, I have 66 at the hour time that we're talking to. So you can see if you're going to achieve your goal or not through the day. And when you're not achieving your goal, the bar is going to become red to let you know that you're not achieving that goal.
Okay, that's
and
pretty obvious. Clear.
Yes. Yes, being clear to the information you can have. So the production manager can see what's happening on his floor directly with a view like this without having to try to follow up and take good decision fast. And you can measure your shop also with quality. This is really important to really know, okay, what's my percentage of quality that we're working in our cyber shop? Because you could be really performance, but you need to follow a certain quality. So it can give you a goal to achieve to the day of percentage of quality, and it's going to let you know how much part has been broken on the total of manipulated parts inside of your shop. You can also follow each project with a work time or work transit time inside of your shop and see the percentage of each project. So starting from the cutting until it has been, let's say, staging, you can know how much time it transit inside of your shop so you can have measurements or goals to take action also to go towards that. I'm going to close this. Now with all these information and tracking information, so we can follow from different kind of steps inside of the shop. We can do tracking at the saw when it starts, even at edge bending, even at CNC machining if we want to, going until it has shipping. Now what I want to show you as other functions that we have inside of our system is to be able also to do what we call sorting. Okay, so I'm going to use my little drawing that I have here to explain to you inside of my shop what I want to show you towards my sorting. So first little thing, this is a sorting rack that we have designed right here. It could be a different kind of way. So the fact of sorting is to be able to sort all your parts to let know the assembly chain what they need as when a product is ready. So we have one department right here where all the parts come in to be sorted, and we have another department right here where we're going to have the drawers and the doors being sorted at another place. So normally they're divided in two sections inside a shop. You can have also other type of sorting information that you can have, or other.
Excuse me, Jonathan. Can you just, Bill, do you understand what we explained right now?
I think so. Did you want to add the clarification to it?
Yes, please. No, just on your side, can you just do a small resume of what you understand? Because, you know, it's a new concept we promote and we suggest to customer, and we just want to be sure you understand what Jonathan explained.
Well, that you can actually, well, you showed me how you can visually present the capacity utilization, that it will highlight if you are not meeting the targets, and that might not be so obvious, especially in the different zones in the plant. I think that's what I got so far.
Great. And do you understand who can be the prospect for a production coach? The size of the company?
That maybe you could do that again.
Okay, so the size of the prospect we can install this kind of technology, it's between $2 million business to $25 million business.
Okay.
Okay, hey, let me jump in here, Bill. The difference of the way people do it now, and some people attempt to do it this with the sorting, but what they do right now is the parts come off of the machine tools, and they're stored by the type of part, as opposed to a cabinet, all the parts to one individual cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
So they make piles of parts, but those piles of parts are not piles of cabinets parts organized in. So that's the difference. So if I'm coming off of my CNC world and I'm creating piles of parts that are not organized in terms of an assembly, then I have to go redo those parts and get them organized in terms of an assembly.
Okay, and that's what I have seen is manufactured to a part bin is very typical, and then someone else goes through and picks parts to assemble the job.
Yeah, and so what we're saying is that you can actually put the parts organized. Can you zoom in on those monitors in the 3D picture? So
these ones?
Yeah, what happens is there's a monitor here, and so he scans the part, and then it tells him where to put it. And so it's an assembly. All these things are not going in as like parts. They're going in. One slot will hold one assembly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why you can get a production increase in your factory, because you don't have to touch the part. You eliminate touching the parts one complete time.
How do you, okay, and then on the monitor, it's identifying that slot is identified as a project location, for instance.
For a work order article, like one box per slot. But then on the other side, you'll see there's a monitor facing the other way. Mm-hmm. That monitor is telling them what slots are full and ready to go.
Okay. All right.
Now, what we want to do with this is to be able to synchronize exactly the work that has to be done with the assembly. So we want to be sure that these guys are going to work exactly with they're going to have all the parts of the product completed to be sure that they can build up the product, and being sure also to clean up the flow of your production line, that the doors and drawers are also ready. A lot of time, these assembly person is going to start working on something that is not fully completed and has to put the line or put the product beside of it, and they cannot continue the line direction. They're trying to search for parts, or they're not optimizing their production lines of assembly. Often companies actually today are putting a lot of investment inside of the CNC, inside of the machinery, to be able to push everything over there. But what do they really do to optimize their assembly level and make them efficient with the less effort and person in place? So sorting is to give the assembly line or the assembly person a direction and being sure that they work on the right little thing. We can even go at a certain level to let them know on what they need to work on and what product to pull out to complete a work order that needs to be delivered without them to have to take a decision towards that.
Okay.
So what I want to do is first little thing right here is bring you at the part level right here. So what we're going to do on that rack right here, that sorting rack, on this front screen right here is operators, or let's say doweling parts or CNC parts, and when they're completed, they're going to sort them inside of a sorting rack, okay? And the system's going to let them know without them to have to search and try to fill it up to know on what rack to place it. The system's going to let us know directly on what needs to be sorted. So I'm bringing you up inside a production code screen that's going to give you exactly the same number of racks or number of bins that there is in their sorting racks. So the way it's going to work is that they're pulling off the part. Yes?
Does the individual part have a label on it? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Individual parts has label on it. It can be done also manually with the system where you assign them and track them manually, but if you want to be really efficient with the part labels, it's pretty much good towards that. So when they take the part, they go in with a scanner and just scan that part, and automatically the system let me know where to place that bin inside the system. So as you can see, I know exactly how much part has to be done inside that, 1 of 7, and it's flashing to let me know where to place that part, okay? If I do scan another part label, so it doesn't mean that you're going to scan them in order. I can have one another product, so I go in and you see it switches because that's another product.
Right.
I'm just going to continue to scan the same product right here, 2 out of 7, 3 out of 7, 4, 5. So I'm just doing scanning right now with my scanner like this. Let's say there's missing one part, and I want to know what part is missing to complete that product. We do have all these information that can go in, and when I select a bin, I can see what part is missing to complete that information. And I can also do, like we said, sorting manually. So if you don't have part labels on it with barcodes, you can still do it manually like I'm going to do right now. I'm just checking the box, and automatically that part has been completed. So you see it become green right now, okay? So that means that all the parts that for that product right here on that screen has been loaded right here. Okay, so I have placed the 7 parts are there. This bin, and that screen, it's going to let me know that all my parts has been sorted.
Okay.
Okay, I'm bringing you back. So I'm really navigated between the two screens because it's really important with the 3D model. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the other screen. So on that part of the screen to let know the assembly guys what to pull out, what it's going to look like. So actually on my second screen that I'm going to open right here, you don't see first of all, you see the numbers being reversed to fit on the other side, and you don't see no green. So you don't see that the product is ready for you. Okay? Why? Because in that case, we synchronize information with another assembly station. Because often the assembly stations or preparation stations doesn't mean that your doors and jar box are done at the same area. They're often done on a second area that could be right here. Okay? So actually, my product is not ready because on my second area, my doors and jar fronts are not ready for that product. So what I'm going to do is we're working now on that section right here. So I'm going to close off this sorting. I'm going to open my kitting door section. Are you following me? Does it make sense what I'm showing you? Okay.
Yes.
So now let's say that I am in my doors and jar fronts area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these doors that comes in. You can place it manually or you can do it with scans. I'm going to scan a barcode of that product. You see right here, I'm sorting 1 of 3 parts of that product. Scan 2, scan 3. So now I sorted all of my parts, my doors and jar fronts of that product on that area right here. So all my doors are sorted. We're going to go back to that element and go see the result on the second screen, what's happening right now. So I'm going to close this, switch back, switch back to my kitting parts section and open up my second screen now. So later we didn't see that this was green. Now you can see it as becoming green because the doors and jar fronts are ready. So we know that if the assembly pulls out the cabinet of that, he's going to be able to place the doors and everything is ready for that product to be going on the line.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes. So physically, what happens at that point when it's green?
What they do?
Yeah.
Okay, so the operator right here, pull out the part on that section and just clear, the bins to let them know that perfect, that bin has been cleared. Every information is pulled out for that section.
Okay.
So the parts are ready and they're now moved into assembly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, let me show you just another thing. Let me pull this out. Once the product is fully assembled, okay? So I'm going to assemble my product, and I go through my line right here where I need to place my doors and drawer fronts on that product. Another thing that so often happens is that they have to search where's that part, is that the good door or not that goes on that cabinet, or read the label. Now, what the operator can do is when it goes to that sorting rack, that is right here, he just needs, pulling out always the wrong one, sorry. He can just go in and scan a product label automatically, and the system's going to let them know, hey, the bins assigned to that product are in number 1. So you know that all the doors and drawer fronts for that product are in number 1 bin.
Okay.
So you can pull it out and place it over there. So you're really synchronizing and knowing where the information are for all of these cabinets. I showed you an example with doors and drawer front, but in the case of Timberline, there's also base toe kick that are sorting in a different section, and etc. So it can be more than just these elements. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Now, let's say we come back on that line. Let's say that the operator takes the parts and put it down for the assembly guys. So once the parts comes in on the assembly line for these guys right here for it to assemble, what can happen is I'm going to close down the sorting rack right here, and I'm just going to go in and scan a part label. So each time that they're going to scan a part label of a product, it's going to pull out for you directly inside of that what we're going to call the 3D visualization of the product. So they can see right here what the product's going to look like, and as a real 3D drawing. So we redraw that product with all the information coming out from the CAD/CAM system, and they can see what it is. And they can even know what part is it that they just selected like this. So if I go in, I can see in red what part are these information towards it. You can even hide details to see more details inside of a product. So we can show standard cabinets, but let me pull you a more detailed one. If I go in here.
That's a nice feature.
Here we go. This is a more complex product with angle and these kind of stuff that we can pull out and have these information inside of that project also that can be done.
Okay.
Jonathan, hold for a second. Bill, do you know when I say the words air conditioning break, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so let's say it's 100 degrees outside and you're in Texas, and you have a problem, and you want to get into that engineer's office. When that guy leaves the floor, okay, because he doesn't have these types of graphics and interface on the production floor, he'll go back into the engineering office and interrupt the engineer and cool off, okay? That little episode costs $120 because the engineer's got his head buried into something else. This was probably engineered a year ago or 3 months ago. He can't remember. So he has to pull up the drawings. He has to drop what he's doing. It literally is $125 for him to go off there. And it happens all the time. I mean,
Sure.
So, and when they have a tool like this, it's pretty hard to find a way to get into that engineer's office when you've already got it sitting here in front of you.
So I have a question. So it's imported the data, and then from that data, it can create this rendering. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we actually, if there's like with Cabinet Vision, with Microbellum, with Wood CAD/CAM, with solid modeling programs, they've already got the 3D. We just, what we're doing is we're taking the parts in the 3D model and showing them in a different way in a standard way to where we communicate to the craftsman on the floor what exactly to do. And we're going to build even more technology into this to make an assembly instruction list, so it makes it even more obvious.
Okay.
But we've had people buy this whole product to be able to do this, to see this.
Yeah.
And they're bigger companies, and they already have an ERP system. They already have, but they don't have this.
Okay. So, but it's not importing the drawing from the wood CAD CAM. It's re-rendering the drawing from the data it's imported. I don't know if that matters, but I just wanted to know. It helps me understand.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, we do redraw with the data coming in from, let's say, WoodCAD CAM inside of the 3D drawing right here. So we don't take the drawing coming out from WoodCAD CAM. Yeah. We redraw in our own.
It's a simplified drawing. It's a schematic, a 3D schematic essentially. But it also provides clarity for the person on the floor.
Exactly. So we didn't want to put all the big details like in a CAD CAM where often people on the floor has more difficulty to see towards that. So we try to bring it at an easier level where a person on the floor could be able to see what it's supposed to do and where elements go.
Make it run faster and everything too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good.
And if they want more detail, you can also pick up a detail picture of the machining information like I just did right here.
Okay.
So we do offer the detail information that can come in. So once again, you can go in and hide information or hide parts if they want to have more details towards what it's supposed to look inside of that. But one great thing also that we can do is that we're talking about sorting, synchronizing the information for the assembly, synchronizing also the information for everybody on the floor to know what's happening with your part. So we can also, let's say that part comes in, the assembly guy receives it, or even the kitting guy receives it, and it's a damaged part. So we can say, hey, that part has been damaged. Give a reason why it has been damaged, that this can be accumulated inside of the dashboard so you can see all the result and percentage of the reason damaged. So in that case, I can say that part has been damaged because of the cutting, let's say. So it's going to become an orange flag. And what's going to do, and the cabinet right here is going to be flagged as orange also right here. So everybody knows that there's a damage information for that product. So don't start work on it. You won't have all your parts for it.
Okay.
But if I open myself with the office station, I apologize. What's going to do, or it could be at the saw station, you decide which station you want, it's going to send out what we're going to call a signal. So once the person is connected towards that, it's going to ship down an information, a little bit like Outlook, a message right here that's going to let you know, hey, there's been a damaged part at that station right here. So for you to know that you can retake that part. So you don't have all these guys running around with the parts asking, hey, can you retake this, can you retake that? You're synchronizing these information per person. So once the part has been shipped down or is retaking at the saw or from the office, depending on what you want, just click on that button, click on OK, and you're knowing that it has been shipped back on the floor. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Great. So other thing on our flow, so once the assembly is being done, you have your parts and product that goes through the line, you place your jars and your doors towards that product. Then what we can do is we can do what we call kitting or kitting information together to do a pallet. So if you ship your product to a pallet, or if you're doing even accessories that you regroup inside of a kit. So just tracking these information when you put products together or detach items together, often they lose it when it comes for shipping because they're not able to track on what they regroup the items together. So what we can do inside of Production Coach is we're able to create what we're calling kits or putting elements together. So if I take that order right here, I can go in and create a kit. So by scanning my parts, I can say, hey, or my product label, I can create a kit reference like I'm doing right here. So I'm adding that product right here to that kit reference. I'm just going to scan another one right here. Or I can select manually items to say, perfect. These items are all going to be regrouped together in a pallet. And after that, I'm going to create a kit label. So once I'm clicking on this, I'm going to create that kit label in PDF so I can show you what it's going to look like. Save it right here. And I have a kit label being generated that tells me everything that's inside. So starting from now, I don't need to scan every item. I just need to scan that element right here, and I can follow its tracking information and know it has been shipped or not.
Okay.
So once we do this, then after that we can go in and do some staging elements. So if I go into the system right here, I can go in and specify where am I going to stage my pallet or my products inside before shipping. So I can give shipping areas to where it goes right here with my staging. Specify, hey, I'm going to place them in E07, select my items, save that so I know exactly where they are when it's going to be time to go through shipping. Then, what's really important is to be able to have bill of delivery that comes in directly when you take these elements and place it towards your truck. So it could work with, like we said before, RFID labels, or just scan your kit labels or your product labels of what you place inside of the truck. That's going to change automatically the status of these items to being shipped. I'm doing it manually, but like you said, you can do it by scan or other items. And you're going to create automatically from there a shipping report that's going to let you know what exactly has been shipped, total that's supposed to be shipped, what exactly has been shipped, and what's missing. So you know directly before you leave if they're missing some items, so you don't go back on field to get these information.
Okay. Yeah, this is, it's real interesting because I went on a KCMA tour of Marsh Furniture, and they're actually a cabinetry company and big, 800 employees, I think, at one location. And all these points, conceptually they're doing everything you say, but I don't know how they, I don't know what they have to guide them. I don't think as I think back on the tour, there's no automated process to essentially coach the projects going through the plant. So pretty good. And even all the way to truck loading, and then optimizing the load. Does it have a component or a capability to help optimize the loading of the truck? Because that seemed to be making sure that the last in is the first off delivery. Does it have any capabilities in that area?
Actually, in the system, we don't do that, but we're always open to grow.
Okay, yeah.
So once everything is inside of the truck, I'm just going to show you the last little thing. I just bring up some print screens because I'm not going to be able to show it on my iPhone, but I just wanted to show you that everything that you plan with the planning that we showed you a little bit later with your delivery guides right here can be synchronized towards Google Calendar. So every delivery guy or installation can see what they have to do for each day on their elements and have a screen to know, okay, I have that work to do on that day because it's synchronized on their phone with Google Calendar. And they can go in and have detailed information of that work order. Where do I have to go and what kind of project is inside, where you can also attach the plan document that I showed you about that project. And once they completed the work order, the job over there, they type in OK in the notes, and it brings you back right in Production Coach to let you know this is being completed.
Yeah,
At the installation.
I'm liking it.
So it gives you a big tour on what Production Coach can do.
Okay, so I have questions.
Yes.
Are we at questions yet, or you still have more to?
No. It gives you a big tour on what we we can do.
Okay, so in talking about the the target is a $2 million to $25 million firm. From our initial discussion, it's from what Roger had said. It sounded like it was skewed toward an architectural millwork firm. That they're sort of the paradigm of the customer, or maybe someone who's producing a product that has been designed by an architect or a designer. That's a custom project. or is that, or does it live in the world of semi-custom cabinetry?
It lives in both configure to order and engineer to order world. If it's a standard catalog company that does incremental 3 inches and things like that, it can still help because these guys have gone out, just like with that factory tour that you went on, they've gone out and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and in some cases millions of dollars, and they have failed to get what Production Coach does with their ERP systems. So what happens is even those guys are interested in talking about Production Coach because we can hook the data to and from their ERP system. Because they're just not.
So my take is that it relies, instead of it relying on the machines talking to each other, which is always a mess, it relies on the tracking the parts that the machines have produced.
Yeah, well, it also can communicate. In other words, the machines can communicate to it and tell it, okay, I just made these parts for this work order. And so there's no scanning. It just, like when we demonstrate this at Styles, they have a controller that communicates with Production Coach on their saw. So when they're cutting parts on their saw, it just tells Production Coach what it's done, and then Production Coach carries it to the next level. But
okay, so it can collect data from the machine sources and from the part sources.
That is correct.
Okay, but if you wanted, you could just work at the parts level.
That's right. It just depends. Like a $2 million company probably isn't going to have a power touch with feedback controller. Although ironically enough, we sold a system in Atlanta to a $2 million company, and they upgraded their power touch controller to a power touch controller with feedback, so it'll automatically talk to to Production Coach.
Interesting. So then, let's see. How, if a person, a typical company is outsourcing components, or, just like you showed, doors and drawers might come from another department and then flow in to be picked. How does it handle, is there a difference in how it would handle outsourced components?
Not exactly. Well, if let's say the doors and drawer fronts are just coming out from outside, we're going to be able to, they're just going to know that it comes in, be able to say, hey, it's been prepared for doors, or kitting for doors, or sorting for doors, and it can be tracked manually, or we can generate also labels for them if needed inside of the system. But
okay,
we can give them exactly the status that we want with these components coming out from outside also.
Okay, because on some of these companies, like when Master Brand is buying all of its doors from Northern Contours, it's like an automated process, so that they've integrated their barcode labeling with each other, so that one can read what the other's delivering. So can this, or is it possible that it could also be integrated at that level? It sounds like it would be flexible enough.
Yeah, it could be at that level when we're importing, but that we would need some.
Okay, it might have to be tailored, but that's possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a team that takes this modules and customizes them to what the specific needs are.
Okay, and then okay, so this is like a longer term question or discussion, but with you, I think you said there were 400 users of the predecessor system in Canada, and so I'd just like to, at some point, maybe not today, but learn what you've learned from them. From their usage of it, like some of the big takeaways and patterns of behavior, like you were talking about the air conditioning break. Those would be really intriguing and provocative to share with the industry. sort of like we have best practices, but also you've seen a lot of worst practices.
The big one for the industry is, their current patterns are, we need to make more because we're selling more, so we're going to buy more capacity. and so the big change is, hey, we're selling more, so we're going to have more production, and we're going to analyze capacity, but we're also going to analyze technology systems that naturally increase our output. Well, we don't have to spend an arm and a leg to do it. We just have to change some of our habits indoors and use what we've already got better.
Okay. Would you guys do a capacity audit for someone if they asked you to?
You mean just take a look at them, what they're doing now, and then show them a prediction of what we're not. I don't think we're qualified to do that. Okay. But I'll tell you, I mean, that's something like a Schuler would do, and I don't know that. I mean, what this is an MES system, which an MES system will actually analyze capacities of machine tools, but it won't analyze the capacity of corrected processes. And this is actually what this is corrected processes supported digitally, and that's what you got. And I don't think we're really qualified to say this is how much you're going to save, but I can tell you this: our customers are telling us interesting information. That video will kind of verify it.
I'll take a look at that. Would you guys be open to doing a presentation on this system with one of your customers at a conference if I set that up?
You like a webinar or
like live in person? Because I'm developing a couple conferences for the larger companies. The top 300 companies is what we're aimed at. Would you be interested in doing that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
The trouble is we're in the process of going live. Here, Bill, it's amazing to me that somebody buys it, and now we have to get the equipment in, and we have to get we go out and strategically figure out best plan for each individual company. We feel them out for what they really want, and then we sort out, and then they get the equipment. And then we load the software. For us to load the software up and come and show them how to use it, it's only a 2 or 3 day process. But that 2 or 3 days could be, 4 months after they say we're doing this. It's hard to believe, but time just drags out. So we've got about 5 or 6 in the United States that are ready to do a conference. Where would you like to have this conference at?
Oh, well, we're doing a symposium for market leaders at AWFS the day before the show, and then we will be doing something at the WMS show in Toronto in November, and then in March 2018 we're looking at creating a national conference to talk about stuff like this. And so one of the themes we want to put in there is the joint development of a product, like how a product was developed and adapted in concert with a particular customer. So we take a customer that's, where you tailored it, or
okay. So you're saying you wouldn't necessarily have everybody go to that location. You would have the customer come to you to come give the help.
The customer and you guys and one of you and one customer come up and just talk about the development of that product.
Yeah, a good one would be Timberline, because this guy is the guy that you're going to see on that video. He is a brilliant individual, and he threw some curveballs at Jonathan. This guy has rolling carts, so we not only manage all of the kitting in his factory, but he rolls in and out different carts for different work orders, and this system does that. So that would, and that was developed, I believe, for him. So that would be, he'd be a great one for that.
Okay, sure, and that's the kind of thing. So I'll just put it on our as our conversation as we roll forward. So, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We're doing an industry 4.0 for the AWFS,
Okay.
a seminar, and I haven't asked him yet, but I want him to be a guest speaker there. And
I see.
there's
Well,
another
we're
guy.
doing, they've never done symposia before, and they haven't announced it yet, but we're doing 3 for them on July 18th, the day prior. And so one is aimed at the closet market, one is aimed at finishing processes, and then the third one is a forum for industry leaders. So we're, maybe it'll all work out that the timing would be right to be a part of this too.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, good. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's an exciting. Can you see where we're having trouble explaining the importance of kidding?
Well, yeah, because there's not established terminology or verbiage. It's just like Industry 4.0 isn't even known. And we've surveyed, because my job is conferences increasingly, and people will, like 80% of, or say something like 60% of people will say they're interested in lean manufacturing, and then if you say Industry 4.0, it goes down to like 2%, because the awareness of that term has not percolated through the wood industry.
Yeah, yeah, they're real big on Industry 4.0 at IWF. Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's all driven by the European manufacturers because it's an accepted practice across Germany in all sectors. And so even then the Italians follow, in my opinion. And it was everyone was on message at Ligna, but then when it rolls around to IWF, it becomes just like a footnote in everybody's brochure because it just doesn't have traction. It's just not. It's just not where the wood industry is. It's just not come across to them. And we don't have the culture of it.
No, we don't. The Germans have apprenticeships, and an employee in a German woodworking company running CNC. Those guys probably, I don't know what kind of money they make, but probably significantly higher than what we pay here. So you get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And maybe we'll see changes in how we address that whole issue, because we need an industrial policy like Germany has. So, and even Canada's got much more of one oriented toward wood manufacturing.
Yeah, and that's I think what Jonathan and Mark Andre have tapped into, because they have a much more sophisticated audience. But we have aggressive gamblers down here that will do this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love it. Okay. So let me get my other questions here. So there we go. Okay. How about given that there's an installed base in Canada of the predecessor, would it ultimately rebrand there, or just stay the way it is, or?
Well, they actually are selling it under their own brand, and we're actually selling it under this brand up there too. We don't conflict them, but they've got an established name and marketing plan, and they have a following under the name Webcap. So I don't know. It's not a pressure point because it's mostly just French speaking. So
okay.
It's just not really a pressure point that I don't think they want. You understand, RSA owns the brand Production Coach, and they have their brand. So
Sure.
I don't know why they'd want to. I wouldn't ask them to change.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't do that. I think it would be. They've worked hard to create their brand and all that. And they've got momentum.
All right. Well, what do you call that brand in Canada? And what is it?
It's called the Production Assistant.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, the internet has caused the elimination of borders on information, and so people will get confused if you can't provide the clarity as a reference point. Just say uh, there is this other brand that's operating, though. Then people will understand. So okay, that's what I have for the moment, but I will appreciate getting the recording also. And
Okay,
so,
I will compile, as soon as I shut this meeting off, it'll start compiling, and then I put it up on YouTube, and then I'll send
okay.
you a link.
All right, that's awesome. And then the so what I should do is write a story about what you guys are up to. Like, what's your next step? What's your next step in your strategy?
We're thinking about buying styles. No, our next step.
That's already happened twice.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we could do with an automobile parts company too. Our next step is timekeeping, which is already done, and we're starting to deploy that. And then after that, we'll go after the MRP portion of the product. And in terms of marketing, we're adding more technicians to do installations, and a lot of people are learning about this and waiting to hear from people that have deployed it. So, we don't know exactly how many we're going to sell. We're going to sell. I think we're going to go black this year. We're red last year because we only, we're really kind of exploring the market and making sure that the Americans, they have their own set of requirements. And I have to tell you that Jonathan's team, they're the best software supplier I've ever, you know how many software suppliers I've dealt with. I mean, pattern systems, microval. I mean, I've been around.
IWF? Did you talk about it there? You must have.
Bill, here's reality. We were swamped with people that were interested in production coach. And we had people, our booth was behind the styles booth. So, and we know the styles reps, so they're sending us people over and all of that. And we sold 4 or 5 of those at the show. And we got like 200 leads.
Sure. And
honestly, our reps did not know how to sell it. We honestly thought, so we didn't do as good as I thought we would do. And it was our fault. We didn't spend a lot of time training our reps on the words to use because it's a brand new concept. And the real juice of this product, the real profit for a company is in that kitting, the sorting. Yeah, I mean, and it's also he didn't really show it in this demonstration, but when you've got things coming off of production and you can have total organization in staging shipping. I mean, I have seen massive chaoses. If a company's shipping 20 trucks a day or 15 trucks a day, hey, that shipping dock is crazy and it's not really organized.
Sure.
And this actually
is one of the most chaotic parts of the business, and it's also where all the heavy lifting literally goes on, and so it tends to that actually needs to be coached in a way. So because like I saw one of your webinar topics is how much does it cost to leave something off the truck?
That's their biggest. That's their biggest nightmare. That's the one. And they also, another nightmare that really isn't discussed much is they don't have a handle on installation management.
Yeah.
So with this system, they can literally see what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
We didn't talk much about the mobile app.
Yeah. So there is a category of companies that just does the installs around the country, and would they have a relationship with this?
Well, to run the mobile app is free.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, anyone that's, if they want to track it, but the companies that are real concerned is when they're paying their own installers and they don't know where they are. They don't, I mean, they leave and they have the truck full, but they don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
And this is telling them because the phone has the GPS and they can see
Sure.
what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, this is really awesome. That's exciting. So what I'll do is I'll say maybe, you know, this is how I will communicate. I'll begin by saying, recounting that it was at IWF in case you missed it and start talking about it. And then I will I'll get the recording, of course. I'll write an article that describes it. I'll post Timberline video if it looks appropriate, and so we'll just start to roll out the word, and I'll use the terminology, some of the things that you've shared with me here. So I think you're going to get some good buzz for this.
I think it's exciting. I mean, everybody that we show it to, yeah, we're going to get it, but they don't realize how much money they're losing by not having it. So that the urgency is, hey, this is on my to-do list.
Yeah. Well, there are people who know they have a pain point there, but then they aren't the same people that know you have a solution yet. So that's what we do. If we get to expose it more, there will be people out there who will see, hey, this is exactly what I need.
Right. Okay, Bill. Well, listen, you have my cell phone and I have your number now.
Yeah.
Let's just keep in touch on this and
Okay.
see what happens. And anything I can do to help you.
WFS, I think this would be cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, it's kind of funny. We're in discussions on how to show this. You know, Atlanta, we did really well, but I don't know that. You know, first off, that show out in Vegas is not as big. It's not really.
Right.
It's not in Atlanta, so I don't want to spend a ton of money on it. And I don't. I think people will find their way to us.
Yeah, I think conference sessions and things are the, you know, this is the kind of thing that's an intellectual proposition. It's not capital equipment. So, but being next to Styles never hurts at a show like IWF. So.
Yeah, yeah.
They have 40% market share, they said, when they were acquired, and I'm sure they're around that, but maybe, well, anyway, they're close to that.
Well, did you notice their ad in FDM last month?
Can't say I did.
It was a logo on the back of the magazine with a Santa with some kind of Christmas hat on the letter S, and that's all.
Yeah, that's right. That's their theme. I don't know why. It's in. I'm seeing it pop up in all of their web stuff.
They are really good at what they do. So, okay, well, hey, it was really good talking to you. Jonathan, thanks a lot for your expertise.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
Jonathan,
you.
Do you need a copy of the video, Jonathan?
Pardon me?
Do you need a copy of the video?
Oh, yes, please. It would be appreciated, Roger.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey,
All
Merry
right.
Christmas to you.
All right. Merry Christmas. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.